Hi all, welcome to part 5, module 5 computer networks. So it's again a continuation of what we discussed in the previous slide. So we are continuing our ARP protocol. So please watch part 3 and 4. Part 3 we introduced that protocol and its continuation we saw in part 4. So now we are going to see a different scenario of this working of ARP, a more general form of it. So before that, please watch the previous videos, then only you will get a flow. So the same diagram I am taking, so that we taken in the previous discussions. But now we are going to discuss, we already seen how the communication is happening within a network. So now the general scenario where the communication is between two hosts residing at two different networks. So how this host 1 is will communicate with the host 4. So that is a question. So how the communication will happen between them. So this particular, so definitely it has to go through the switch and the router and to the other switch, and it should come here. So something like this. So everything should happen on the way, and these two rows were for that. So just understand the thing. So as I already told you, definitely with the help of the DNS service, the application layer DNS service, it will get the IP address. So for the time we can assume that the host 1 knows the IP address of the destination. See, what is the IP address of the destination? The IP4, right? So what is it? 192.32.63.8. And see what is the subnet mask. It is 224, right? 255.255.255.0, 24 ones followed by 80. So when you perform that AND operation, you will get it like 192.32.63.0. and see, this subnet address is something different, right? So here I am in a subnet with the subnet address 192.32.65.0, but the destination is in a subnet with the subnet address 192.32.60.0. 63, here it is 63, here it is 65. So the source will understand that my network, when it performs subnet mask AND operation with its own address, it will get the subnet ID as this. But the destination subnet ID and this mask AND operation will give you the subnet ID. That is something different. So definitely it is not in the same network where I am residing. So that is very clear. So now what is the next step? So the next step is like I have to cross the router, right? The network boundary. So then only I can reach the destination. Now how to cross the router, what it will do, normally every machine will be knowing something called the default router. So if you can see the network configuration inside your machine, so other than the IP address and all, you will see something called a default gateway, right? So default gateway, this is the address, something like that you will see in say, otherwise you right now verify. So you will see that default gateway address, that is nothing but the default router, we call it as a default gateway, and also the DNS server address, like that many other information you will see in that configuration, network configuration of your machine. So this default gateway is something, so every machine will remember what is the default gateway of it. So that is why you are able to see that. So some IP addresses, that is this IP address in the sense this particular IP, the this because the router is part of two different network, so definitely it is getting two different interface, and each interface is getting different IP address. So the same machine getting different IP, right? So here it is that 192.32.65.1, here it is 192.32.63.1. so like the two different address. So anyway, this host 1 will be knowing the default gateway address to be 192.32.65.1. So once it get this default gateway, the first step will be hand over the information to the default gateway, so say through the switch and all. But to go make it transfer through the switch, it has to know the C3. So that is a difficulty. So this default gateway address will be given to the ARP protocol, and that is supposed to return back E3. In the sense, it will create an ARP request packet that will be broadcasted to the entire network, entire CS network. So so all those things are done by the ARP protocol on the background. So once the ARP request message, the particular broadcast received at this router, it will understand that yes, this is my interface IP address, so it will return back, or it will give the ARP replay that will be unicasted with this E3 as the corresponding MAC address. So once it is getting the E3, this host 1 will nicely communicate it to the switch, and switch will correctly deliver that particular IP. Say this is the IP packet, that packet is now reached up to the E4. So that is the first part, how host 1 is trying to communicate with host 4 in the CS network part. So if you look at the CS network part, the source IP is IP1, this particular IP, and the destination IP is IP4, ultimately this one, right? But if you look at the source Ethernet, that is this either E1, but you know, for the first level, the destination MAC address is found to be E3. So the first step of communication is from E1 to E3. Now as soon as this particular router is getting this packet, that is to this particular interface, what it will do, now the router will understand by looking at this IP4 that yeah, this is for a different network, that is where I am connected to, right? So now directly the destination is connected to the other part of the router, but you imagine a situation where this destination is somewhat far away. So the router will run the routing algorithm with this IP4, and it will identify a particular outgoing link to which it is to be communicated. And maybe this here there is one more router. If that is the case, the next communication is from this router to this router. So how it will do, again this router will be knowing from the routing table. So this part is very important because something to the next level of generalization I am explaining. So what we seen is the packet being generated from here is now reached at this router. So as soon as it is reached this router, the next step is router will identify that this is the destination, it will be handed over to that. But before that, my question is, suppose there is one more router in between, right? So this is router 1 and we have one more router, say router 2. Now the communication should happen from router 1 to router 2. Again the same process will repeat. So what the router 1 will do, it will run the routing algorithm, it will understand that this is the outgoing link, it is supposed to communicate it to this particular router 2, right? So it will be knowing the IP address of router 2 only. So as soon as it is having the IP address of router 2, with the help of ARP, it will understand the MAC address. So once it is getting the MAC address, it will communicate the packet. So now the packet reached, so this is the packet, it reached from here to here. Now it is reaching from here to here. The packet reaches at router 2. Now again router 2 will hand over that packet to host 4. So at that point also the same ARP procedure will be there. Again everybody will be knowing the IP address only. So with the help of ARP, it will resolve the E6 and it will communicate back. So this is the scenario. If there are more than one router in between, the process will repeat as it is. But in the given example, there is only one router, so we have to go for one more level. So understand here, the first level, ultimately the source IP is IP1 and destination IP is IP4. That is same everywhere. But if you look at the Ethernet, first the communication is from E1 to E3, right? From E1 to E3. Next the communication should be from E4 to E6. So like that it will happen, E4 to E6. So to make it possible, again we have to depend that ARP, and ARP will be returning this E6 for this particular IP4. So like that it will happen nicely. So hope it is clear. But this more than one entry will be added like this if it is a general case. But if the source and destination are on the same network, with a single iteration you can complete it. The scenario where the source and destination are in different network, assume that the host 1 wants to send a packet to host 4 on the electrical engineering network. Host 1 will see that the destination IP address is not on the same CS network, and that procedure is what I explained. By performing that AND operation, it will understand the subnet address, that network address, and as it is different, definitely it is a different. So it will be knowing that the off network, the traffic that is outside my own network will be given to the default gateway. So by convention, the default gateway will assume the lowest address, that is 65.1. To send a frame to router, the host 1 again has to know the Ethernet address of that CS router, that is that E3. Again it will do that ARP broadcast, and that particular with that 198.31, I think some problem with the address 190. So here there is a mistake, right? It was like what is it, 192.32.65.1. Yeah, I don't know, maybe they may taken a different example, but if that figure is assumed, it is like 192.32.65.1. So here also it is 192.32.65.1. I taken from your textbook only, but anyway, let me verify. I hope it is that same example only they are explaining here. So the ARP reply will be contained in the C3. So the same lookup mechanisms are used to send the packet from one router to the next router over a sequence of routers. If there are more than one router sequentially, this in the over that internet path, the same procedure will repeat again and again. And finally, the Ethernet and NIC of the router gets this frame if it gives that to the IP software. So the network mask and the packet should be on onto the E network, right? So it will reach host 4. If the router does not know the Ethernet address of host 4, again it will do ARP. So the as you can see in the figure that if you look at the table in the figure, the last table, you can see that the IP address that present in the frames that lists the source and destination Ethernet and IP addresses, and you can see that the Ethernet address change from one entry to another, where IP address remains same, because with the help of that Ethernet address, that hopping is actually happening. So once you look at a particular hop, the Ethernet source address and destination address are on the two end of that particular hop only, and again for another hop, say like from this machine to this machine, in between two routers. So from this hop to this hop, this E1, E2, so they will act. So this is source Ethernet, this is the destination Ethernet. Again from here to here it is E2 and E3, from here to here it will be E3 and E4, something like this. So if it is a router, definitely here itself E1, E2 and E3 will be assumed for the two interface. Then it will be E4 and E5, and then it will be E6, like that. Okay, hope anyway it is clear. Now there is something called proxy ARP. So the thing is that if the sender so here the sender done something like it taken its own IP and the destination IP, and it will perform that AND operation with the mask, and it will identify itself that the destination is on a different network, and to reach that different network I have to reach the default gateway, and then from there I have to go to the other one, like that. So many things the source will be running, but without all these things you can do it in a very nice way, provided we have the concept of the proxy ARP. The router is supposed to act as a proxy ARP, so that is the idea. So the thing is that the source don't have any information about the destination, where that destination belongs, whether it is on my own network or in a different network. Mainly it is used, in case of that mobile host, that something mobile routing and all we discussed already, where if a machine changes from one network to another, actually my home network is different and right now I am in a different network, right? But the ultimate communication is happening with respect to the home agent and a home network, hope you remember. And that time my new network address is something different. So to avoid all these confusions and all, what it will do is it will not have any intelligence like that. You can assume the host will not understand that it is on a different network. Simply it will send that ARP broadcast by thinking that the destination is also on the same network, but everything will be taken care by the proxy ARP that is running on the router. So that is the idea, maybe slightly confusing, but go through it repeatedly you will understand. So it is also possible to send a packet from host 1 to host 4 without host 1 knowing that host 4 is on a different network. So far what was the case, that host 1 is knowing that host 4 is on a different network, and that how it is knowing that procedure, Now assume that we don't have such procedure, and we don't want to execute such procedure, we don't want to burden ourselves like that, and without any knowledge about the destination, whether it is on a different network or not, the host 1 is simply sending the data. And the solution is like the router is supposed to answer the ARP on CS network for host 4, right? The router will act as a proxy for host 4, something like that. So that is why it is having the name, but it is actually communicating back E3 only. E3 is actually the router's interface, not the actual host MAC address. It is the MAC address of the router's interface on the CS network, and that E3 will be communicated back by the router. But the router know that it is not for me, it is for someone else on the other network, but it cleverly reply back with its own interface. right? So whenever something is, so it's now the burden is fully given to the router. Look at the IP address and you decide. I am not going to decide whether it is on the same network of me or another one. Router is supposed to decide. That is the thing. So the ARP will be broadcasted. The router, whenever it is getting, the router will decide whether it is on the same network or on the different network. If it is on the same network, the router will keep silent because someone else will be replying that ARP reply. But if it is on a different network, the router will just reply it's on MAC address. So it is not possible to have host 4 reply directly. Definitely host 4 is not going to replace, don't think in that way, because host 4 is on a different network, right? So either Ethernet level broadcast is not going to cross the router boundary. So host 4 will not see it at all, but the Ethernet, the router will act like a proxy for host 4. So that is the thing. So router will then receive the message to the actual destination, that is 63.8, that is the host 4, right? Just recheck and forward them to the EE network. So as soon as the router is getting that packet, now the sender don't know that the destination is on the same network or not. Everything is handled by the router as a proxy ARP. So the router will take that message. Now the sender will assume that the router is actually the destination, and it will give it to that E3, and as soon as the router is getting it through E3, it will correctly deliver it to the actual destination. So this solution is called proxy ARP. So it is used in special cases like in which the host wants to appear on a different network even though it is actually resides on another network, right? So something we discussed like in the case of mobile computer and all, that wants some other node to pick up the packets and do on behalf of it. So it don't want to execute that checking part, like whether the destination is on my own network or the other network, simply without any doing any such checking and all, it will send that packet. So on the way, the router who act as the proxy ARP will take it and it will do that job for the it will act as a proxy for the actual destination, something like that. So as soon as it is received by the router, it will take care of the rest of the things like what we already seen. So only difference is, the previous case, the sender itself will understand that the destination is on a different network, and it will take the router's default gateway address and it will correctly do everything. So the burden is up to the sender's part. Now we are handing over all those checking everything to the router. So whenever a ARP broadcast is coming, whether it is on the same network or on a different network, the router has to do the checking part. So the router is now overburdened with the proxy ARP part, and that part will do this checking. For every ARP request, it will take it and it will check whether it is on a same network or on a different network. If it is on the same network, it will keep silent because someone else is supposed to reply for that ARP broadcast. But if it is on a different network, it will reply its own interface so that the sender can send it to the him. Something like that. A slight variation of what we already seen, right? So it's something picture is given like here you can see that this is the proxy ARP router. So that is nothing but our normal router with this proxy ARP software that is installed further. Right, this proxy ARP router replies to the ARP request received for destination. So we have the destinations with 141.23.56.21, 22, 23. So on behalf of all these hosts on the some different networks other than the network where so we are looking at this particular network. Right, if anyone is giving a ARP request, so this is the ARP request. Whoever it is giving, the router will receive it and it will check whether it is to same network or different one. If it is something like 21, 22, 23, the router is acting on behalf of all of them because the router can reach to all of them. In all these cases, the router will do the ARP reply, right? So this request is broadcasted, reply is unicasted. Those things were same here also. So hope it is clear for you. Thanks for watching. I think some more thing remain in ARP that we will see in the next part. So that is regarding its packet structure and all. So with this we will wind up our discussion on ARP. Yes, thanks for watching.